Yeah.
Okay, so you know how we were talking about those ancient dragon-slaying legends?
Yeah.
What if those weren't just stories?
Okay.
What if there was an actual organized effort
Wow.
to wipe out dragons?
You're suggesting something beyond natural extinction,
Exactly.
like a deliberate campaign.
Yeah, imagine if ancient governments
Uh,
or religious institutions viewed dragons as a threat to their power, to the established order.
Interesting.
What if they decided to eliminate these creatures not just for safety, but for control?
It's an intriguing theory.
Right.
I suppose there could be evidence of such a campaign hidden in plain sight.
Oh, yeah.
Think about all those ancient libraries that were destroyed,
Right.
all the historical records that were lost.
Yeah.
What if those lost texts contained accounts of a systematic dragon eradication program?
Whoa.
Imagine if those stories were deliberately suppressed
Yeah.
to maintain control, to shape the narrative of history.
That's giving me chills.
Right.
Like those conspiracy theories about secret societies and hidden knowledge, but on a whole other level.
Exactly.
But if such a program existed, wouldn't we have found some trace of it?
Not necessarily.
Oh.
Remember, ancient cultures were incredibly resourceful
Right.
and innovative.
Mm-hmm.
What if they developed weapons or techniques that left no lasting trace?
Like what?
Something organic, something that would decompose over time,
Oh.
leaving behind only whispers and legends.
You're talking about biological warfare.
It's a possibility,
That's some next level stuff.
right?
It would explain why we haven't found any definitive physical evidence of a systematic dragon eradication program.
Exactly.
It certainly opens up some intriguing possibilities, doesn't it?
It does.
Makes you wonder about the stories we tell ourselves about the past,
Yeah.
about what we choose to believe, and what we dismiss as mere myth.
Right.
It's like we're peeling back layers of history,
Yeah.
and with each layer we discover something new, something that challenges our perceptions and forces us to reconsider everything we thought we knew.
That's the power of these deep dives.
It is.
They're not just about uncovering facts.
Right.
They're about exploring possibilities, questioning assumptions,
Yeah.
expanding our understanding of the world.
Exactly. And sometimes those possibilities can be pretty mind-blowing.
Speaking of mind-blowing, I think it's time we turned our attention back to the Bible.
Okay.
We've touched on Behemoth and Leviathan,
Right.
but those are just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot more to uncover when it
yeah.
comes to dragons in the Bible.
Okay, you've officially piqued my curiosity.
Good.
I'm ready to dive into those biblical depths.
Let's do it.
But first, a quick recap for our listeners.
Okay.
We've explored the possibility that dragon myths might be based on real creatures. We've considered the cultural significance of dragons,
Right.
how they reflect our deepest fears and aspirations.
Right.
But now we're going to delve into the spiritual dimension of the dragon myth.
Right.
Are you ready for this?
Absolutely. Hit me with those biblical insights.
I'm ready to tackle the whole Satan as a dragon thing.
Okay.
We've been dancing around that concept for a while now.
We have, haven't we?
Yeah.
And it's not just about Satan.
Okay.
The word dragon appears throughout the Bible,
Right.
often in ways that have been overlooked or misinterpreted.
Okay, tell me more about these overlooked dragon references.
Well, let's start at the very beginning
Okay.
with the Garden of Eden.
Okay.
Remember the serpent that tempted Eve?
Of course, who could forget that sneaky snake?
Well, the word used to describe that serpent in
Yeah.
the original Hebrew
Okay.
is nashash, which can also be translated as dragon.
Wait, are you saying that the serpent in the Garden of Eden
Yeah,
was actually a dragon?
it's a possibility.
Like a fire-breathing winged dragon?
Could be,
That would add a whole new dimension to that story.
wouldn't it?
Imagine Eve being tempted, not by a slithering snake,
Yeah.
but by a magnificent, awe-inspiring dragon, a creature of immense power and intelligence.
Interesting.
Makes you reconsider the whole nature of temptation.
It does, doesn't it?
I mean, a talking snake is one thing,
Yeah.
but a talking dragon,
Right.
that's next level.
It is.
And it makes Satan's role in that story even more intriguing.
Exactly. It reinforces the idea that Satan, often associated with the serpent, is a master of deception, capable of appearing in any form
Right.
to achieve his goals.
Wow.
And it highlights the power of those spiritual forces that are often at play behind the scenes.
Okay, so we have a potential dragon in the Garden of Eden.
We do.
What other examples are there?
Well, there are references to dragons throughout the Old Testament.
Okay.
In Exodus, for instance, God sends a plague of fiery serpents
Right.
to punish the Israelites for their disobedience.
Yeah.
And in Isaiah, we have those fiery flying serpents
Oh,
that
yeah.
we discussed earlier.
Right, the ones that got us thinking about the possibility of real fire-breathing creatures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's also Psalm 74,
Okay.
where it describes God crushing the heads of the dragons in the waters.
Wow.
Clearly, these aren't just your average snakes.
Oh.
The imagery is powerful, evocative,
Yeah.
speaks to a much deeper spiritual reality.
Yeah. It's like those epic dragon-slaying legends we talked about earlier, but on a cosmic scale.
Exactly.
God battling these monstrous forces of chaos and darkness.
Precisely, and it ties into that concept of spiritual warfare that we've been exploring.
Right.
Throughout the Bible, dragons are often associated with evil,
Okay.
with forces that oppose God's plan for humanity.
So even if literal dragons didn't exist, the symbolic meaning is still incredibly powerful.
Absolutely. And it culminates in the book of Revelation,
Okay.
where Satan is explicitly described as a great dragon,
There it is.
powerful being who seeks to deceive and destroy.
The Satan-dragon connection we've been building up to.
We have.
So how does this all fit together? What's the takeaway for us?
I think it's a reminder that the spiritual realm is just as real and impactful as the physical realm.
Okay.
The Bible isn't just telling us stories about mythical creatures.
Yeah.
It's revealing the deeper spiritual realities that shape our lives and the world around us.
So those dragons represent those spiritual forces.
Right.
Those battles between good and evil that we're all a part of, whether we realize it or not.
Exactly. And just as those ancient heroes needed courage and strength to face those fearsome dragons,
Yeah.
we need faith and reliance on God to overcome the spiritual challenges we encounter in our lives.
So it's not about literally slaying dragons with swords and shields,
Right.
but about confronting those negative forces within ourselves, resisting temptation, fighting for what we believe in.
Precisely. And it's a fight we can win with God's help.
Right.
Just as those ancient heroes emerged victorious from their battles with dragons, we too can overcome those challenges.
Yeah.
Emerge stronger, more resilient, and more deeply connected to our faith.
Wow, that's inspiring.
It is.
It's like those dragon-slaying legends take on a whole new meaning when you view them through this spiritual lens.
Yeah.
They become metaphors for our own inner struggles
Right.
and the ultimate triumph of good over evil.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It does.
What if those ancient heroes, those dragon slayers,
Yeah.
were more than just warriors?
Right.
What if they were symbols of those who fight for truth,
Right.
for righteousness, for the very soul of humanity?
Okay, mind officially blown.
Good.
I think you've just given me a whole new perspective on dragon myths, on the Bible, and on the challenges we face in our own lives.
Yeah.
So what's the final word?
Okay.
What should our listeners take away from this deep dive into the world of dragons?
I think the most important takeaway is to remember that there's more to reality than what we can see and touch.
Okay.
There's a spiritual dimension to life that's often overlooked or dismissed.
Right.
But the dragon myth in all its forms reminds us that those spiritual battles are real and they matter.
So the next time you encounter a dragon, whether in a book, a movie, or even in your own thoughts, don't just dismiss it as fantasy. Remember the deeper truths it might represent.
Right.
The struggles between good and evil. The courage it takes to stand up for what's right. And the ultimate hope of victory.
And remember that you have the potential for greatness within you.
Yeah.
You have the strength to face your fears, to overcome obstacles, to make a difference in the world.
Right.
We are all, in a sense, dragon slayers.
That's a powerful image to end on.
It is.
Thanks for taking us on this incredible journey.
It's been my pleasure.
Well, folks, there you have it.
We did it.
We started with a simple question, were dragons real?
Right.
And we ended up exploring ancient history, scientific possibilities, cultural interpretations, and even the spiritual depths of the Bible.
Yeah,
It's been quite a ride.
it has.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Appreciate it.
And until next time,
Yeah.
keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those dragon-slaying skills sharp.
You got it. Welcome back. As promised, we're going even deeper into the world of dragons. We've explored the possibility that these creatures might have been real, that their existence wasn't just a product of imagination. But now I want to turn our attention to the cultural impact of dragons. What do these myths and legends tell us about how humans have perceived these creatures? And perhaps more importantly, how they've perceived themselves?
That's a great question. It's easy to get caught up in the physical details, the fire and fury. But the cultural significance of dragons is equally fascinating. I mean, these creatures have appeared in stories, art, and religious beliefs for millennia. They clearly tap into something deep within the human psyche.
Exactly. And their interpretations vary widely across different
Oh,
cultures.
yeah.
Yeah. In some traditions, dragons are benevolent protectors, symbols of wisdom and power.
Okay.
Take Chinese mythology, for instance. Dragons are often associated with good fortune, prosperity,
Right.
and even the emperor himself.
It's interesting how those cultural interpretations can be so diverse. In European folklore, dragons are often portrayed as fearsome beasts,
Wow.
guarding treasure or threatening villages. They represent chaos and danger, something to be feared and conquered.
That's a great contrast.
Yeah.
And it highlights the duality of the dragon myth. It can be both awe-inspiring and terrifying, a source of wonder and a symbol of destruction. It makes you wonder if these contrasting interpretations reflect something about how humans view their own place in the world,
Okay.
their relationship with nature,
Yeah.
and even their own inner struggles.
Okay, now that's getting deep. It's like the dragon becomes a mirror, reflecting back our own fears and aspirations, our potential for both good and evil. It's almost as if the dragon myth is a way for us to grapple with the big questions of life, the mysteries of existence.
Precisely.